The 10-Point Report has been brought to you by Synthetic Coffee, from the makers of Synthetic Meat. Why not ruin breakfast too? Synthetic Coffee. And by laziness. It's a whole lot easier to do than you think. So there's about 2% drop-off of children born. The fertility rate falls to a record low. At least that's what they're saying, since they kept the records in 1979. We look at the total fertility rate falling only 2%. They've only been tracking it back in the 1930s. So when you look at this graph, it's kind of confusing. You can see 60s, 70s is a huge drop off, and then again about 2012 and onward to now. Take a close look at this drop off, and you'll notice that there is a little bit of drastic change, but it's not by a whole lot. I mean, compared to what was happening in the 60s and 70s, shit. This next clip was brought to you by, well, me, because I live on a border state and it's a really important issue. So here we go.
In one day, we visit several campsites along the border, and we meet migrants from 11 countries.
And where are they coming from?
All over the world: Central America, South America, Africa, Eastern Europe, China, India.
We have the world at our doorstep, in spite of our efforts to shut the door. We find one man willing to talk.
Was there something specific that happened?
Yes, COVID-19.
And some countries, including China, don't even accept deportees.
The U.S. immigration enforcement system as it exists is just not designed to handle this. And it's highly unlikely that the Mexican government would accept tens or even hundreds of thousands of people. And it's highly unlikely that the Mexican government would accept tens or even hundreds of thousands of people who come from countries other than Latin American countries, who don't even speak Spanish. And it's highly unlikely that the Mexican government would accept tens or even hundreds of thousands of people.
I don't understand. Wouldn't they already have to accept hundreds of thousands of people for them to be there? Oh boy. Anyway, this next clip has to do with people who are trying to run away from cops. They can't be detained for just trying to avoid police, the California Supreme Court says. Now, if you didn't think that was crazy enough, listen to this. Many individuals, including particularly people of color, commonly hold a perception that engaging in a manner with police, including a seamlessly casual or innocuous ways, entails a degree of risk to one's safety. Wow. Well, the more I hear that, the more I think this is pretty racist, don't you think? Moving on. 15 Portland police cars badly burned Thursday morning. Arson suspected. Metro declares emergency over attack on bus operators. Steps to increase security, including adding more security personnel to buses to deter assaults and creating barriers to protect the drivers. The agency is also working on long-term plans to include addition of even more dedicated transit security bus riding teams. So the answer is more security, huh? Activist groups train students for months before campus protests. Well, that's no surprise there. We were on that for a while now. U.S. forces thought they killed a terrorist. They got the wrong man. A new military assessment affirms. Washington Post reporting that cast doubt on the Pentagon's initial claim to have slain a senior al-Qaeda operative in Syria. Yeah, what they ended up doing was they drone struck a 56-year-old shepherd after confusing him with a terrorist leader. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing, you know. When your intelligence gets that mixed up like that, it really shouldn't happen. But Hamas CIA director to hold talks in Cairo on Gaza truce. I thought that says Hamas's CIA director, but anyway. I don't think that they are actually part of the CIA, but you never know. I mean, they could be telling us this right here. Anyway, that's enough conspiracy out of me. This unusual looking wreckage is actually a missile that landed in Ukraine. And it's kind of strange looking, so they started investigating it, and what they found was North Korean stuff. Well, they also found English, numerics up there, so there's obviously not just North Korea. These weapons are killing Ukrainians, and the implications are far bigger. Oh yeah, the implications are far bigger because what they're finding, these missiles, see, 112 corresponds to the year 2023 in the North Korean calendar. Here's the real kicker though. It was bursting with the latest foreign technology. Most of the electric parts had been manufactured in the United States and Europe over the past few years. There was even a US computer chip made as recently as March 2023. Oh, this map is here just to show you what the how close Russia is to China and China to North Korea and North Korea to Russia. They're neighbors. Ukrainian men abroad voice anger over pressure to return home to fight. Yes, desperate for soldiers to reinforce its crumbling defense against Russia's invasion, Ukrainian embassies have temporarily suspended consular services for fighting-age men, placing new pressures on them to go home to fight. NATO drills show it's preparing for potential conflict with Russia, Moscow says. Boy, this is bad. I think there's a little too much warmongering going on. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to move on to some positive news, because what's pretty awesome is that this whole global warming thing is now being blamed on El Niño. Well, anyway, let's do this.
La Niña can lead to drought in the southern U.S. and cooler temperatures, heavy rains, and flooding in the Pacific Northwest.
All right, so fewer hurricanes due to the stronger vertical wind shear, and more hurricanes in the south. That's what El Niño is. This next little part is interesting. It's saying that 0.9 degrees Fahrenheit change within 3 months. That's insane. 33 named storms for this year. So these are incredible weather photos. Oh, wow. Actually, this actually looks kind of nice. Some lightning storms. Wait, hold on. What? That actually looks pretty fun. Heck, if this is what's in store, oh, look at that. Oh man, I can't wait for that. Looks like it's going to be a fun winter. Man, I'm sure glad that they're blaming El Niño, because I really was not happy with them blaming us all the time. Bunch of knuckleheads.